Hey, all of it, thank you so much for listening to the Men's Room Podcast.
And thanks to our pals at the Advocates Law Firm for being great partners. Yes, even you, creepy Kyle.
Seriously, though, if you'd been injured as a result of somebody else in your car, on your bike, walking across the street, talk to our friends at the Advocates Law Firm and let them help you out.
Yeah, they're the best injury lawyers around, and they want to make sure that you're not taken advantage of. Plus, your first consultation is free.
It's simple. You get injured, the advocates get results. Contact them today at advocateslaw.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
99.9 KISW. We return to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Sheriff's deputies in Louisiana, they shared video of the moment a deputy was pounced on by a squirrel during a traffic stop. The Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office said in a Facebook post that deputies were conducting a traffic stop involving an arrest when things got squirrely. Upon a vehicle search, a pet feral squirrel, which was inside, pounced on the deputies. The video shows the deputy flailing as the squirrel quickly climbs around his body. The post said the squirrel was safely returned to its cage. The sheriff's office said the deputy and squirrel were both unharmed by the encounter. Our question, what or whom did you come face-to-face with? 206-421-ROCK.
I like this one. A text comes in and says, what or who did I come face-to-face with? My cousin, as a performer at a strip club. It was my dirty 30th birthday in Portland. My buddy paid for a private session and had no idea. My cousin gave me half of her payment and said, you don't say yes, I don't say yes. Talk about awkward.
That is weird.
That's what's even worse is that you got a private session.
My buddy and I stopped into a place like that in West Virginia. We were about 20 years old. Mm-hmm. And his sister was dancing.
Oh, and he had no idea?
His sister wasn't of age yet.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Oh. And what is his reaction?
Yes. Well, before wanting to beat up the manager,
of course,
and my buddy was a big guy, still is, then once she saw him and she saw me, and then her realizing what was going on, she ran back into the back. Well, we can't just go back into the back. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're customers of this place.
No.
So, that was a little weird. Then finally, he was able to talk to her, and we left.
Okay.
So that's, I don't know. I mean, he was so pissed off because when we got there, she was already on stage.
So she was naked when you came in?
She was on stage when we walked in.
Now, did you realize it was his sister before he did? Or did you kind of have the epiphany together? You're like, dude, that's your sister.
We just walked in, and I didn't even, my first move is to go to the bar.
Of course.
He stopped and froze. And I was like, what's going on?
What's up, dude?
Exactly. And I was like, oh, no. And I turned and I looked and went, oh, no, I should not be looking at this. I mean, no one should,
How long did you look?
Not long. She ran off. She saw him right away.
Damn.
Because he said her name.
Out loud?
Oh, yeah. And you got to remember, this was
he yelled to her on stage.
This was like a country road club that was open till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
It was like 8 o'clock at night. There were 4 or 5 people in there.
Oh, God.
The music was the loudest thing going on.
Stephanie!
Right, exactly.
I mean, I don't think you can help it.
Right.
Even if it was like...
Mom!
Yeah, I was going to say, even if you ran into like a random ex, I think you would just be like,
what do you do? Whoa, hey. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I did everything I could at the time not to tell anybody.
How long did that last?
I mean, it's so hard.
You told people. Stop it.
It's so hard. I tried so hard.
How long before
I don't know. I mean, you know me. Probably went home, got a megaphone, went, hey, everybody!
Yeah.
What or who did you come face-to-face with? 206-421-ROCK.
So hard.
I mean, it was so hard. I'd say things.
Dude, my buddy, he got thrown out of a one because it was just a girl he went to high school with. But they, started talking. Either way, the club's not huge on you knowing the strippers.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, either the strippers. They don't want to know you either.
So what, was he just having a regular conversation with her? Or?
I think same thing. They were just hammered, and he was like, oh, my God, it's blah, blah, blah. And she kind of was like, no. And he's like, no, we went to this high school, whatever. And they were just like, all right, get out.
Come on. Her name is Crystal now.
Right.
Unless you already know that one of the strippers is a stripper. I've walked into a strip club before and been like, oh, man, what's her name? But I already knew she was a stripper, so it wasn't awkward.
You just didn't know she worked there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And, the other barrier of knowledge is you don't know the real name. There's a level of protection in that world, too.
Correct. So, my buddy that got thrown out, he yelled her real name and then was like, no, you went to this high school. I mean, those bouncers were on it quick.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, the idea of someone being able to stalk, whoever's
any
there.
Of that stuff, yeah.
If they can just know any personal identification on you, they can more than likely get on the internet and find you.
Yeah, I'm sure she's like, dude, shut up.
My name is not really Lexus. What or who did you come face-to-face with? 206-421-ROCK.
Liquor and whores.
Hello, Danny. Welcome to the men's room.
Are you practicing, Danny?
Hey, dudes, liquor and harlots. Oh, excuse me, liquor and whores. Sorry about that. How you doing?
We're doing great, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm here to talk about my unusual encounter.
Perfect.
I lived in Anchorage, Alaska, and I used to take my wolf dog out for a walk every day in the park. Which is Westchester Lagoon. It runs from the mountains to the bay in Cook Inlet in Anchorage. And we came across a male moose, which took very great exception to us there. So it was a little dicey because my wolf did not realize that he didn't have his pack with him. And so he wants to go on a full bolt towards the moose, but all it takes is a moose to kick him in the head one time and the party's over. And he's a large animal, about 140 pounds, but at the same time, I was in a state of panic because anyway.
So what happened?
So what happened, we ran into the woods because they are not like up here where it's a lot of underbrush, but it's hard for the moose to go ahead and try to break through the ash trees and the birch and stuff like that. So we were able to go ahead and stay ahead of them, but it was a little dicey situation. I'm not certain that everybody here knows listening how big a moose is. They are like bigger than horses, really large.
If you go to Bernie's Bungalow downtown, there's pictures of the moose that come up. And as soon as we went there and sat outside, the first thing the waitress said to us is, if the moose walks in, don't move. Just sit there. Be calm. Everything will be fine. He'll walk in. He'll walk out.
And at first, we're like, are you joking? She's like, no, because this moose, like once a day, once every 2 days, it shows up in the outdoor drinking
and then you go toward the bar.
Did you see him?
No.
Then
you go to the bar and there's a collage. There's like a corkboard collage of all the pictures people taking of like the moose at the bar, the moose out at the tables, the moose wandering around the bar when it's packed. You know what I mean? Like people just drinking with a moose walking by them. I'm like, she's not lying. This is crazy.
And I really did not want it to come by.
They are massive. Like I watch some of those like shows and like hunted shows, and the guy's always like, he's like, look, I'm going on a moose hunt. You have no idea. Every time I see one, I'm reminded how massive they are.
I've never seen one in person. I know they're massive, but just like you're saying, until I physically see it for myself, I just don't know. You can watch videos. You can even say, here's a guy standing next to a moose, but like, I just need to see this thing in person to get an idea.
This guy.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
He's got Christmas lights on him with a... it's just...
So don't touch him. But we put Christmas lights on his ass.
Christmas lights on his antlers.
That makes sense.
Sure.
Good idea.
What or who did you come face-to-face with? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Russ. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hola.
It's going to be a little hard to top emu, but I was raising some pigs in the backyard and go back to feed them one day, and they're back there making bacon. So I got a head of cauliflower in my hand. It's like, get off her, that's your sister. So I peg it. It didn't do nothing. I open the pen, I go in there, I try to stop, throw another head of cauliflower, lunges forward, and tries to bite off my wanker.
Oh, you're kidding me.
What?
No, he missed the twigs and berries, but left a hell of a strawberry in the bush.
Yeah,
Wow.
I can believe that.
Okay.
As a general rule, I try not to mess with any animals during the act.
He's in the freezer, is that what you said?
He's in the freezer.
All right. He learned his lesson.
How many pigs do you have?
At the time, there was 6 back there.
Okay. And so were you, how long does if you cut up a pig, like how long does that last? You know what I'm saying? Like you got a whole pig there, you put it in the freezer. Is that a year's worth of meat?
Oh no, I give a lot of it away, but I just grind the whole thing, all into sausage.
Oh, so you don't use the ribs or pork chops or bacon or any of that stuff?
Nah, I'm not that good of a butcher.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
I wouldn't know what the hell. I wouldn't know.
A meat grinder.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what the hell I'm doing either.
I wouldn't, but I'd go to a butcher
right,
because this is potential bacon.
Why are you bringing him in here? You tried to bite off my wang. What or who did you come face to face with? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Daniel. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hola.
Guess what? Okay, so do any of you guys know who the Northern Exposures show was?
Yeah, I remember that.
Is it Roslyn where they have? Is that where the cafe is?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So they did the outside shoots in Roslyn. They did the indoor shots in Redmond, Washington, which is on the east side over here.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, I had to clean their 120,000 square foot indoor studio. And also all the movie stars that were on the show, I had to clean their apartments. And one of the ladies who was cleaning Janine Turner's apartment got ill with cancer. And I was the foreman, and my boss said, I can't trust anyone else. The only girl she wanted in there was Linda, my wife. That was his wife. And I can't trust anyone else. Can you do it for me? And I said, sure, I'll do it for you. So I had to do it for like 6 months. The thing is, we had to keep it on the down low. Anyway, she came home early and busted me, like, after I was doing it for like 6 months. It was a huge deal. But anyway, yeah, I got to meet her face to face.
Sounds like under the best circumstances.
So what, she was under the impression that somebody else was still cleaning a room, and then she came home and you were there?
Exactly. So she goes, okay, so here I am like 4 or 5 feet, I guess, away from the door, and there's like some stairs going up, and she's really particular about everything in the apartment. I mean, I had to go through school, I guess. It's like from Linda, she had to tell me every little thing I had to clean, before she went through cancer treatment. And then, so it was a real big deal. And she came home, busted me there, called her the producer of Northern Exposure. The producer called up my boss, gave him the one over, and then he called me. But it all ended out okay.
Well, did you get to continue cleaning her apartment? I mean, when you said, like,
no.
Really? No. So she would not let you back in to clean her apartment?
No, she wanted a woman.
Okay, all right.
Did she ever say why? I mean, I don't care who cleans my apartment.
So she gets off of work, comes home, takes off everything, drops it everywhere. I don't care. I can't really go into detail, but, it's a personal thing for her, and so I had to, like, respect that.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's just weird. You know what I mean? Like, if it's clean, and if you couldn't tell for 6 months that someone else was cleaning the place, that means whoever's cleaning is doing just fine.
I will say this. In my life experience, and hopefully this doesn't come across as sexist, but I know it is, as many times as someone has knocked on my door to clean the place, or I've come back to a hotel room where someone was inside cleaning the place, I don't believe I've ever walked in and there was a dude standing there.
I've not a single hotel, for sure.
Not in my lifetime. Not that I've ever seen before. That would, to me, I'd be like, dude, what are you doing in here? I'd be like, change your sheets. And be like, okay, all right, cool. I mean, I think I'd be, for a second there, I'd be like, what? Okay.
All right. Get a hotel that would throw me, because I've never seen.
I just haven't seen
I've known house cleaners that were like a man and a woman, but you're right. I don't know that I've ever seen a cleaner at a hotel. That is very strange.
I'm just thinking now, like all the hotels I've been in, it's never has there been a guy.
There was an environmental company many years ago in town that I was checking to see how much their cleaning rates were, and they sent a guy over, and that didn't seem out of the ordinary. I'm just saying, if I walked into my hotel room and there was a dude standing there, you know what I mean? Like,
what are you doing?
Exactly. Like, come on, man. What's happening in here?
But once they explain it, that'd be fine.
I'm cleaning your room.
I did. You know that company, College Hunks, Hall Junk?
Yeah.
So it was started by a couple guys in college.
Right.
Now it's a much bigger company. But I got them to take out like an old couch and some stuff. And when they showed up, I was like, I don't know if they cared for my joke, but I was like, where are the hunks? Well, one was a woman. And one was just like an older dude. I was like,
I knew we shouldn't have come up here to Capitol Hill.
I was like, where's the college hunk? I didn't think about that angle. I was just like, hey, where's the actual college hunk? She's a lady.
Jesus. What or who did you come face to face with? 206-421-ROCK.
And you, sir, if you're still in college, you have horrible, horrible grades.
You are a terribly stupid man.
Yeah, what do you get averaging 1 credit a year?
Like, I went back to school. And we left a turd on your bathroom floor.
Yeah, we're the hunks.
Hello, Scott. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola.
So my story begins after a morning shower on my way to work. I was getting out of the shower and heading back to change my clothes, and a rat walked around the corner and booked it out the doggy door. And so I closed the doggy door so they couldn't come in and out. And for a while I'd heard some scurrying around, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And one night I got a little bit drunk and stoned and passed out. And about 3:30 in the morning, I hear this sound in my room. And I flipped on my phone light and saw that my little garbage bin next to my dresser was knocked over, and I was like, it's on now. And I booked out of my room but shut the door, grabbed a broom and a dustpan, and was getting ready to go back in there. And then I started thinking, what am I going to do when it comes out of there? Because it's, I got to direct it out the sliding glass door. So I lined up all these bins so that it would have no path to go but out the sliding glass door. And I go in there, and I got my flashlight out, my phone, and I looked everywhere. I couldn't find it. And the door had been shut, so I knew if it was that rat, it was not going to be able to climb underneath my door. And I looked everywhere, and then finally I noticed that my bookcase had like a 3-inch gap underneath it. And so I get my phone and I look down there, and there is red little beady eyes and white fangs staring right at me like 3 inches away from my face. and so I backed up and I started using that broom handle to try and get it to scare out from underneath that bookcase, because I know my hand would barely fit underneath there, much less with the possum that I thought was a rat.
It was a possum?
Yeah, it ended up being a possum.
Oh, that's much different.
Yeah, that changes everything.
And I kept whacking it, trying to scare it out from underneath the bookcase, but it would not come.
Whacking the possum, and it would not come.
It would not come.
Damn possum.
So yeah, I had kept these hand towels for after love-making sessions. Were on the bottom shelf of that bookcase.
Oh,
and
Jesus. What is this, like a gym locker room?
And I stuck it underneath there and grabbed the possum, and then grabbed another one with my other hand, and I could barely get my hand out from underneath there, and the thing's squirming around and wiggling, and I was afraid it was going to bite me. But I finally got it out from underneath there, wrapped its head around with that other cloth I grabbed, and walked out and tossed it out the sliding glass door. And in the meantime, as I was picking it up, it did a poo-poo on my floor. And that was probably the worst part about the whole thing, because it's 3:30 in the morning.
Right.
And I'm still a little bit drunk and a little bit stoned. And
there's a possum turd on the floor.
Exactly. And so I still had one of those rags in my hand, and I picked up the poo-poo, and it smelled so bad. I'm trying to make the bathroom, gagging and choking the whole time. And I opened up the rag, and it dropped right onto the toilet seat, and immediately the smell got like 20 times worse.
Ooh.
And so I like puking in my mouth and had to like go get fresh air for a few minutes just so I could come back and swipe the thing into the toilet. And as I did that, it smeared. And so I'm gagging and choking some more. It was quite a mess.
Did the possum ever come back?
Not that I know. I went and got I adopted a street kitty.
That'll do it, man.
I don't think he's coming. He's a big street kitty.
What is he, like a barn cat? Is he indoor, outdoor, and just kind of patrols the area?
Yeah, he was found on the streets and by Kitty Patrol, and I adopted him. It took a while to get him used to being inside the house, but now he's inside, outside.
Okay. Good
That guy made that sound so tough and untough. It's from the streets. Found him on Kitty Patrol.
And there's poo-poo.
Why'd you call him a cat from the
It put
street?
poo-poo on my floor.
Or a street cat.
What or who did you come face to face with? 206-421-ROCK.
Well, great balls of fire, Bubba.
What happened, Buford?
That crazy son of a Sal blew right through that four-way stop of Main Street and plowed into my cowboy Cadillac.
Your what?
My pickup truck. And I'm pretty sure my leg is broken, Ted.
Oh, quit your bitching, Buford, and talk with those side busters at the Advocates Law Firm. When I got busted up last month, well, shoot, they made sure those snakes at the insurance company played fair.
Boy, howdy. Even that creepy so-and-so Kyle earned his keep.
So if you get injured, the advocates get results. AdvocatesLaw.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Realtors abide by a code of ethics. This is Article 9 in action. Beth, a first-time homebuyer, knew nothing about the home buying process, except that she wanted to buy a home. But her realtor had the expertise to make sure Beth understood every document, even giving her copies to review with her lawyer so Beth could close on her first home with confidence. Complicated things explained in simple terms. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
99.9 KISW. The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill.
What or who did you come face to face with? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Bill. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hey, hola.
Hola.
Hey, can you hear me? I'm on a little speaker thing or a
Gotcha.
headphone thing.
Yeah, you
So,
sound
okay.
good, man.
Okay, good. Hey, this is awesome. I've been wanting to talk to you guys for a while. So my story is this. About 8 years ago, I was in Glacier National Park, and I was with a friend at the time, a female friend, but just a friend. And we were there for like 3 or 4 days, and we were hiking around. This was the last day we were there. And we took this long hike by the visitor center, in Glacier, the visitor center. The sun had just set. It was dusk, and I had to find a bathroom, right? So I went down to the visitor center. They were closed, but I looked down the line of where the bathrooms are, and both the men's and the women's bathroom were open. And I thought, oh, okay, this is awesome. So no one in the women's. I said, okay, I'll go to the men's. It was outside. It was a kind of maybe a 10-foot walkway down, and the men's bathroom was on the right-hand side. And I walk down towards the men's bathroom, and I get about 8 feet from it, and I hear thump, thump, somebody thump, thump. And I go, oh, well, somebody's in there. Interesting. Okay, and they must be cleaning. Long story short, I get about literally 2 feet from the door of the bathroom, and I hear wham, 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 and a full-grown ram runs out of the bathroom, and this thing is the height of like my nose. And it's if you've seen pictures of rams, this was so he had the big. So his horns were like 2 feet in diameter. I was literally a foot from the door. Had I got into there or been in front of the door, he was full speed running out of that thing. I would have been knocked 30 feet
Easily,
yeah. And so basically, I saw him come. I heard wham, 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 and it was like that slow motion where the ram is coming out of the bathroom, and his eye looks at me. His left eye looks at me, and so I'm plastered up against the side of the building, and my arms are just out. I'm splayed out. I was like, I'm not here. You don't see me. And luckily, nothing happened. He ran across the walkway there, ran down a ravine and down into the parking lot. My friend who was with me at the time, I was just like, I came back, I was white as a ghost. I said, well, oh my God. Well, first I went and peed because, I had to.
I was going to say, did you need to at that point? I think I'd have emptied myself in that moment.
Oh, my gracious. Yeah, no, I everything seized up for a second, and then I went, okay, but I was like, I didn't know if there were other rams in the bathroom. Anyway, she didn't see it. She was over there, and she heard, I heard some noise. What happened? I was like, I did wrong, and I told her the story. And so we were like, okay, where is it now? And we were on the top, so that it's like a little, maybe a 30, 40-foot slope down to the parking lot. And the ram and his female mate, or whatever's going on, they're down there just sniffing around the parking lot. And we wanted to go back to our cars and go back to our car and go back to the camping spot, and get some dinner. We were hungry. We'd been hiking all day. But we had to wait until the ram completely cleared the parking lot before we could actually feel like we were safe. But it wasn't aggressive. It was just like huge. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, and so, like I said, had I been 2 feet ahead or I just poked my head around it, I would have been flattened. I don't know what would have happened.
I've seen them a few times coming down a hill in Southern California, and you can't believe how agile, how they move. Because it looks like a cliff.
They're pretty big. I mean, again, yeah. I know all animals somehow are just bigger than I picture, but like, he said this thing was, chest high, chin high, nose high, something like that?
Well, they lift their head up. You got to realize.
Well, yeah.
They're the size of deer, but then they've got a much...
Are they that goddamn big?
Oh, yeah. They got a much bigger head. I've got pictures of them in my phone when I took them down.
Really?
I was like... Then it all made sense, like, oh, the Los Angeles Rams. Like, I'm in that area, and I'm like... No, I get it. You know what I mean? Like
you actually have Rams here.
Right. Now it makes sense. Duh. It looks just like the helmet. Duh. Okay.
Yeah, I don't picture Rams in Los Angeles, right. but I know what you're saying based on the territory there, sure.
Okay. What or who did you come face to face with? 206-421-ROCK.
That's the problem. LA is such a big metropolitan area. That you forget. I mean, even when you go up in the hills, like there's a lot
of entirely different situation than what you picture, right?
Yeah.
You say L.A., everyone pictures Hollywood, and even Hollywood, you picture a certain type of Hollywood. Not the Hollywood that you and I were at, Miles,
No.
It's a seedy, dirty part of town.
Yeah.
And there's like Rodeo Drive, I think is what people picture when you say Los Angeles. And it's like we say with Miami. Like, listen, whatever you think, no, Florida. When you picture Florida, you picture Miami. And even when you picture Miami, you're picturing South Beach. When you leave South Beach, Miami is Detroit with palm trees, and Florida is Georgia, right?
Well, right. It's like the old saying in Miami.
What's that?
In Florida, the farther north you go, the more southern it gets.
Yeah, that is very, very true. Yeah, very true.
What or who did you come face to face with? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Scotty. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hola.
So hey, I was surveying a Boy Scout camp out of Monroe. I think you guys know it's called Camp Piggott.
Camp Piggott, of course.
Yeah, it used to be called Camp Brinkley at the time that I was up there. But anyways, we made it. Me and my dad surveyed back into this point. It was really difficult to get in there, so we tried to find an easier way out. And on the way out, I came across this extremely big old growth cedar stump. I mean, it was the biggest I'd ever seen, and I was impressed by it. And as I walked around it, there was a hole in the bottom of it. Because if you know a lot of those trees, when they go to their roots, they kind of look like an octopus, kind of, you know?
Yeah.
And so there was this perfect hole, about 1.5 feet by maybe 1.5 feet or so. And I was like 20 years old at the time, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I went and I stuck my head into this hole and was like, hello, anybody home? And didn't hear anything. I turned around, made it about 10 feet, and then I heard something. And when I looked back at the hole, out of this 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet hole, squeezed a female black bear.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, and I know it was a female because she stood there for a second, and then about, I don't know, maybe a second, it seems like forever, her cub comes out and sits right next to her.
Uh-oh.
And, you know, if you ever heard anything about a mama bear, I mean, black bears aren't that big, but who cares? I mean, but I proceeded to do the only thing I could do, which was scream bloody murder, like bloody murder, and just wave my arms and, just as loud as I could get it, and luckily enough, it scared her away.
Yeah.
So,
I would never want to run into a bear.
How long did it take for her to decide to leave you alone?
Pretty quick, because I was pretty, I don't know. Maybe a second or so, because she took off and went around me and blew past my dad. He said as fast as the guy can run in an open field through solid brush. And her cub, luckily, wasn't like a new cub. It was probably as old as they get before they leave mom.
Right.
So it went back in the stump, and it went out the backside and then back around, and then it ran past my dad too. So that probably was my saving grace, but I couldn't stop shaking for hours.
I got
don't stick your head in a hole.
The closest I've ever come to a bear was after the fact. But I was up in, he said, we ought to call it a glacier. I was up in Glacier Park in Canada.
All right.
Which is up near Banff and Jasper. They don't actually have hotels there or anything like that. Basically, there's a campground at this one spot that had a bunch of different little mini cabins.
Okay.
And the mini cabins were probably, 50 feet apart, 60 feet apart. They were spaced out throughout the woods. You had a little parking spot in front of it. So, your cabin was like number 12.
Okay.
So you just drive down this dirt road, you know what I mean? You look at the cabin number and you go in there. So check in at the main lodge area, which is kind of equivalent to like down near Crystal, where like they have food that you can buy. You can go in there and get dinner, DVDs, VHS cassettes, all the stuff, because there's no Wi-Fi.
Right. Yeah.
There's nothing. And so I walk up on the porch, and it's an old log cabin, but it's a mini little log cabin. And I go, and the door is a wooden door. And I'm looking down when I put my bag down, and I realize the entire door, the front of the door, has been shaved off. Claw marks.
Oh, right,
there.
yeah.
And it looked like somebody had been doing woodworking on the door, but you look and you realize that it's just huge scratch marks with, this fresh smelling wood. Like it was like you walked into a sawmill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, he was just here. Because, they'd already changed the sheets. Right, exactly. Like, if it was somebody who came and cleaned it the night before, then he had been there in between.
Yeah.
So that's why they highly encouraged you not to keep any food in the room. And if you could, to please just, eat whatever you had and then, go to your cabin. So you could be in the main area. They had tables and stuff like that. The idea was like, don't take a Snickers bar into the cabin. And they had like lockers in there for you. So if you brought stuff.
So it wouldn't smell?
They also said they encouraged you, look, we've had bears try to break into your car, had them try to break windows.
I don't care if they try to break in my car.
So if you have food, you need to bring the food into this area and we will secure it for you so that nothing happens. But if you have one little thing.
At what point do you think to yourself that this is going to be a fun time? If I go to the amusement park.
Every sound, man, when you turn out the light, it got dark. Every sound I heard, I was like, oh, man, what in the hell's that?
Exactly. I don't want to know, man. I don't want to know. I remember camping. This is back on the East Coast or up in the Appalachians. And it's just one of those deals. I'm going to take a leak. I grab the flashlight and just shine it toward the trees. And it's like 1,000 pairs of eyes are staring at you, and you're trying to make a judgment. The ones that are low to the ground, I'm not sweating so much. It may still rip me up, right? But there's some that are kind of high up. And I'm like, now, is this an animal that is that large or is it an animal in a tree? I can't tell. And it's just green eyes. So I figured the best thing to do is just turn the flashlight off and just wander out there and take a leak and then just walk back like nothing was going on.
I mean, it's still peaceful. It's a little dangerous.
I mean, it's peaceful, but it's weird when you turn on the flashlight and realize, like, dude, there are 1,000 animals just staring at me.
I think you came closer to a bear than any of us probably ever.
For sure.
Like 20 feet.
And what did you do?
Bang well, first I stopped and crouched down, and then I stood up and banged banged a stick off a tree. So it would run away.
Now, what do you think in yourself, like, when you do this? Like, if I hit this stick, am I just calling attention to myself, or does this really work? Like, were you confident that this would work?
Were you in a tent?
I was. It was a nice canvas tent, though, on a platform. So I was coming back from the outhouse. It's an open space. But honestly, when I first saw it, I just thought it was a dog. Then it was like, holy crap.
Right.
That's a black bear. Hit the stick. You just try to remember anything anybody's ever told you.
Oh, of course.
Right, this is with a black bear. So it ran off. Like I told you, I peed around that tent for the rest of the week, just hoping.
Parking territory.
But you're right. Like at nighttime, man, when I was down on the bottom of that property with just me, like it was just kind of creepy. Because I would have like a fire and kind of hanging out. It's like watching TV, you watch the fire.
Yeah.
But you're right, after a while, then you're just in the tent. And then you hear stuff, but then when you blow out that candle,
It gets dark.
It gets dark, and then the coyotes, you hear them getting close. The problem with the coyotes, too, is like, they're really far away, and then it's like, he's like outside your thing. But, again, there's an element of danger, but it's also super peaceful.
Anytime I'm in danger, I feel what is the deal? What do you do if you encounter a coyote? Right? I don't know much about them.
They're very skittish.
They're very skittish because they sound scary to humans, but they're basically preying on small animals. Or like if you have a tiny dog, like they'll eat your dog.
Well, I mean, I had one in my driveway.
Like
but
no
I didn't
offense,
know what
but like Mike's dog. Yeah, you don't want that dog out running around with coyotes.
But I didn't know what it was, man. And it's like 1 a.m, and I remember it's kind of foggy out. It's Jack the Ripper looking weather, and I'm coming back with the dog. I'm walking up the driveway, and the dog kind of stops for a second, puts her ears up. And at first, I don't see anything, and there's a street light in the driveway. And then once again, there's a pair of green eyes looking at me, and I'm like, what is this? Because I still got to get to my house, but it's between like where I am and where my house is. And then the dog just stayed dead calm. I'm like, well, if the dog's cool, I'm going to be cool. So whatever this creature is, let's just keep walking. Because again, the dog usually tips you off if it's dangerous, whatever. So they're kind of looking at each other. And then as the fog kind of blew away, I realized it's a coyote. And then we started staring at each other, and then it just took off running. But I'm like, okay, that's good, because that's one of those things I have not heard what you do to, scare it off or do whatever. I'm just like, I don't want to deal with this.
The coyote, and the size of your, like both your dogs you've had, like that coyote was scared of you too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
As soon as we moved here, I ran into a coyote with a coworker of ours who never played for golf. He just kind of snuck on. So we go to Newcastle, and I hit a ball, and it's kind of foggy up there at this point in time, and it's kind of over by the the tree line,
Never did.
And I walk over, and there's a dog standing there, and I'm like, buddy, what are you doing out here? And he just stops and freezes. I'm like, what are you doing out here? You know what I mean? Like, why are you sitting here by yourself? Like, this is the middle of nowhere. Why are you want to go? And I'm like, oh, you're a coyote. And I'm like, well, so I started talking to him. I was like, I'm going to hit this ball, okay? And he just stood there and watched me hit the ball. And the weird thing was, when I hit the ball, he watched the ball. Like his head, and I was like...
Did he look impressed?
I was like, all right, man. It was just like,
cool.
Okay. That was my first interaction with a coyote that we just didn't have on the East Coast. No. So I'd never seen one before. So I was like, they're mangy and they're smaller than I thought. And
yes, I'm saying, like, I've seen them during the day, and they're just kind of hanging. Like, they're not too scared about that. But one night we were... like you get a dog to kind of, not rent it, but you try it out for a couple of days, see if you're going to buy it.
Yeah.
The little dog ran off. And all night I could hear those coyotes, and I was like, I bet they're eating them.
Oh no.
He was all right. Neighbor found him.
Okay. Jesus.
Did he?
No, for real.
Okay. Just saying, what the happy spin on. No, he was fine.
What or who did you come face to face with? 206-421-ROCK.
You got to keep in mind, I've been living on this tent on the bottom half of the property for a week, right? I'm doing nothing. Just kind of hanging out during the day, like watching fires. So, like, now that we've lost this dog, like, I've got to lose in my mind. And I'm down there in the tent, and I can hear the coyotes. But when he ran off, he was wearing a little sweater. And I was like, I bet they're eating his little sweater.
Why was he wearing a sweater?
Because he was a small dog.
All right.
But I was just like, I wonder if those coyotes are eating his sweater, too.
I bet you they felt bad for him. Hey, homie, they got you wearing a sweater. Like, all right, man.
Right. So when the dog was found, I was like, oh, thank God. But I was like, you're right. I was just laying there in the dark, like, he's a goner. They got him.
He's been eaten. Hello, Chris. Welcome to the men's room.
Hello, Mitchell.
Hola.
Do you guys hear me all right?
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit. Yeah.
No.
Oh, all right. Well,
there you go.
I can do this.
Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, sure is.
All right. Well, we'll see how it works. So this is not a wildlife story. Not exactly, anyway. I think it was my 40th birthday, and my wife at the time, I get home from work, get out of the shower. It was actually the night before my birthday, but she hands me a $20 bill and says, you should go down to the tavern and have a beer. We had a 4-year-old kid at the time, so somebody had to stay home. And I was pretty blown away. She's like, I'm like, wow, she's being nice to me for once. And I'm like, cool. So I get in the truck, I go down to the tavern, I sit down and I have a beer. And I hadn't finished my first beer when this pickup truck out in front of the tavern started up and drove away. And my spidey senses started tingling. And so I finished my beer. I got a 6-pack to go. And I drove home. I'm pulling into the driveway. and there's a strange truck in the driveway. Like, really? Interesting. So I go in the house, and there's this stranger, about 20-year-old kid, sitting in my living room with my kid, who's 4 years old. The bedroom door's closed. And so my bedroom, I can open the door, right?
I hope so.
And so I walk into the bedroom, and here's this kid, half my wife's age, just getting ready to mount her.
This is not the kid in the living room.
No, that was his buddy.
His buddy's watching your 4-year-old while your wife's about to sleep with this other younger dude.
Yeah, exactly.
And what happened?
He's pretty lucky.
Did you go back to the bar?
I should have. I should have just walked out and gone back to the bar. That would have been quite the statement, wouldn't it? No, actually, just my gut reaction was to take that 6-pack that I just bought and throw it right at his head. I missed, unfortunately, or maybe it's good that I missed. I didn't miss, actually. The 6-pack went right through the spot where his head was because he ducked. And the saddest part about the whole story is that I only had 2 good beers left after that.
That is in fact, the saddest part of the whole story.
What?
Coming up, the return of Who Sucks Less. You are listening to The Men's Room.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.